Hello, hello. Let's test the volume. Hello, hello. Seems good. Okay. A little bit later of a stream than the past few times. Had kind of a slow start to my day, and was having some difficulty with my internet. I don't really know what the problem is. I generally can get it to work consistently, so there's that at least. Oh, or yeah. Yeah, I think it's still doing good. um, yeah, it consistently stops working well. I don't know if the way that it gets messed up is consistent, or if that's just like random. But yeah, I don't know if it's the Ethernet cable itself, or maybe something's wrong on my PC's end. I don't know. Here's my resource packs. Yeah, hopefully I can figure out the internet weirdness at some point. Gonna play a little bit of Minecraft. Oh yeah. I think at the moment I'm just kind of wanting to do some organization. Yeah, I've got a bunch of shulker boxes that I can make. A bunch of shulker shells that I can make into shulker boxes. I do think I'm gonna fill up at least 2 rows with shulker boxes. So that's 15. So I need 30 boxes. I probably... Oh yeah, I've definitely got enough wood for that. right, you can't put those. Okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah, I gotta think about how I want to organize all of this stuff. Well, I think first of all, so this should be like my main valuables chest. So that's basically gonna be like these 3 bundles. And then the 3 metals should go in their own shulker box. I think I'll leave this box a bit haphazard. And I can put some of this more valuable stuff in here. How did I how did I get those wrong? I think that looks pretty good. Oh, and then yeah, I do want like a fuel box. I'll just keep it fairly simple like that for now. I think potion box is a good idea. I wonder if these two regenerate about the same amount of health. It's an interesting idea. Rocket boxes are generally a good idea. I don't exactly have very many of those, but yeah. And then I think some of these tools I want to be very easily accessible. But some of them, that is not very necessary. So you know, I might put all of like my spare bundles in here as well. But yeah, so this can be just a bunch of different tools and things. I don't know what I want to do with these items. Ender pearls and twisting vines and things. I should definitely dye these. Let's see. Yellow. Oh, do I want to do magenta or purple for the potion bundle? I guess I haven't made purple. Well, coal box should be black naturally. This one, there's a handful of different colors, so it's a bit tricky what would best represent it. White might be good because iron is probably the most general, but I think I want to do gold, or you know, yellow. I think that feels appropriate as like kind of a treasure box. Yeah, potions. I like the magenta. I might go for the purple though. Yeah. If nothing else, to keep it distinct. Yeah, and then white would be good for the fireworks. Red might be better, but I'll probably have a redstone box, and that gets a little tricky. Now, do I just want this to be gray? Probably. I think I'm gonna make a couple light gray boxes for like kind of general general item storage, I guess. Oh yeah. I need red. Oh. You know, just like placing the shulker box there made me think it would be kind of fun if you could just like directly dye items in world. It might be obnoxious if it was with the dye items themselves, like it might be too easy to accidentally do that. But maybe not. You know, similar to how you dye sheep. Just having it be a bit more like diegetic, I guess. Could be cool. Oh, I know. This is a bit of a silly one. But of course, I gotta have my boat box. I think I said I didn't want to... Or was I thinking I don't know. I don't know what I was planning for all of the boats. Using a whole shulker box in a whole ender chest slot for a bunch of boats seems a bit silly. But I have them. What else am I gonna do with them? Okay. What do I do here? kind of deemed this the redstone section. I don't know if that all needs to be for redstone. I don't know. I probably don't need that much space for redstone personally. Gosh, there's a lot of items in the game. Maybe what was I thinking with that? I should leave space for the cooked fish if I'm gonna have all of that fish storage. Or just like, yeah, wherever I put the fish. There should be slots for the cooked as well. Yeah, see this has me really kind of confuzzled. Because ideally all of the building blocks would just be over here, but that just doesn't really work with the current space. And then all of this equipment. What to do with it all? I definitely have room for everything for now. It's just like, how do I wanna organize all of this? think this stuff is gonna move up here. So this is more like that. And then this middle row will be a lot of like equipment stuff. Which can include these things. It will include those things. I can also move. I can move these tools into here. I think I'm gonna leave this chest for the ores. And I'm gonna put all of the copper stuff above it. Hopefully that's enough space for copper. Honestly, it probably isn't. Like, what do you do? What do you do? I might be able to give copper 2 chests. Part of the difficulty is like some of the things I want to move first, I want to move them into other chests that also have stuff. And so it's like, where do I put those? Like, I think I want to put the rotten flesh here, in this corner. This one is more convenient. Honestly, I can just do that. Yeah, so I think this will be gunpowder. That can be string. Maybe something like that. Leather, rabbit hide, armadillo scoots. Turtle scoots could go here as well. I will tell you right now though, no amount of storage will ever be enough for armadillo scoots. They passively shed them. Armadillos passively shed them, similar to chickens laying eggs. You know, using the brush on them is like a way to instantly get some, but they just passively shed them. And if you're just like collecting those regularly, you will never ever run out. It's kind of crazy. Now, I think I should probably do it like this. Maybe that. I feel like feathers should be paired with something else. Actually, pairing them with the ink is kind of fitting. So yeah, I'll do that. You'd ideally put paper next to gunpowder, now that I think about it. What if I just, like, swap these? Let's actually do another row of gunpowder and then put the firework rockets with the paper. I think that makes more sense. And I don't actually know what those two rows. Kind of wanted it to have all of these things be part of equipment. they're... I wouldn't consider them ingredient items. Flower. It is nighttime. Ooh, maybe... This could potentially be a good place for all of these extra arrows. Would 2 chests be enough for all of the collectibles? I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to make it work. Banners should arguably have their own area, but don't know what to do about that. Okay. Yeah. See, like... This is all... Here, I'm just gonna... I'm just gonna wax that. Just so it'll go with everything else. This is one section of copper. And then there's 4 other stages? And like, I don't necessarily need storage for all 4 stages. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to not structure it around that. Maybe something like that is good. Maybe. Okay. What other ores would be missing here? Lapis, diamond, emerald. Is it just those? Because I think diamond and emerald going, you know, in my treasure box is appropriate. So if it's just lapis, then that seems to work pretty well, I think. this is all looking pretty good. Oh yeah, there's this miscellaneous stuff as well. Maybe that is what these chests should be, though. Minecart stuff should go at the end here. I think I'll put triggers in this block, or in this chest, and components in this chest. Slime can go in here. You know, I just in this moment have realized we have sulfur and tough, or not tough, sulfur and cinnabar on the way. Well, I guess that's a future problem. What even should represent this section? I don't know. Maybe I'll just do like a map. It's kind of interesting. Sporer? Why do the cats pathfind onto the chimney? Are they trying to get to my bed? don't know. Is there a spider on my roof? Oh. Kind of. While I'm here, I think I'm gonna clean up that block. There we go. I wonder what would be a good like placeholder item for empty chests. Actually, maybe another quartz? Let's go with regular nether quartz. I don't know. Maybe. amethyst instead. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm really glad this is all underground. Endermen are just a problem. Ah. I think amethyst would be really good as a it's like a placeholder item. Because you can get a lot of the shards. It's pretty. If I'm like filling up my chests with it or something, it's not gonna look ugly. And I've got 2. Where was the other one? Got 2 underneath my base. Which is fantastic because I spend a lot of time at my base. Dang it. Why did they have to make the budding amethyst block so brittle? Losing one isn't a huge deal, but it is sad. But yeah, I've got 2 geodes underneath my base, which of course I spend a lot of time at. Which means these are basically whenever I go to these geodes, they're going to be fully grown, and that's lovely. hadn't considered the outside. Or I guess I'd considered the outside a little bit, but not this part of the outside. There's so very much. I ought to pick up some more of the amethyst buds while I'm at it. I thought I saw a creeper for a second, but it was just a grass block. Okay. I don't know if I should be putting this just like with all of the regular ores. But technically this is where it goes. It's quite a bit more valuable than all of the rest. Yeah, so the idea here would basically be like no empty spaces anywhere. Actually, that one's fine. I think that's also fine because I'm not likely to put I wouldn't be likely to have copper golems sorting what was it? Sorting turtle scoots, yeah. just like filling in all of these gaps. So oh, that's interesting. Particularly just for anything that I feel like could be obnoxious, the way that copper golems sort. Like yeah, if I put pale moss in here, or if I had copper golem sorting pale moss into here, the pale moss would be put there. Which, like, it is useful that they function that way, it just means you gotta play around it a little bit. To do this. just I just crafted more jungle fences. How silly. But yeah, I might as well fill this area out. What did I do wrong? I see. Okay. I had to sneeze. Nice. Oh, is this gonna be enough bamboo planks? I actually don't know. It looks like it is just enough. literally just enough. I already had the fences and gate though. That's all right. Bamboo shelf. Lovely. Well, fairly short Minecraft stream, but I think I might call it there. Let's see. I think next time I actually don't know if I'll play Minecraft or Hollow Knight in the next stream. I've been leaning a bit more towards Hollow Knight lately. Or not necessarily more than Minecraft, but like I've been leaning more towards Hollow Knight than I was. Yeah, next time I play Minecraft, I think I might do something a bit different. There was a there's a map. There's a custom like adventure map that was recently introduced to me. I played through a little bit of it with a couple people in the recent snapshot that adds peer-to-peer play. That's only significant because that's like the whole reason that I played on the map, is they just kind of invited me and I was like, okay. Yeah, the map was not made for that version of the game, but it was mostly functional, and it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I think I might give that a try on stream. It was a fun like puzzle solving map called Evergrowth. So yeah, I think I might do that next time I play Minecraft. I don't know if I'll be able to finish the map per se. It seems like there's, or yeah, it seems like it can go on. It seems like it can go on for quite a while. There's quite a bit to do. But I could start it at least. That would be fun. I'm also just thinking it could be interesting to try making a video out of that. I have not made any videos as of yet. Not in the like recording and editing sense anyways. Broken Clocks. Love this song. But yeah, that could be a fun thing to make a video on. Be interesting as like a first channel video. I might not do that. I mean, technically the first video on my channel is my first stream, because I didn't have the multi-streaming set up yet. But I wouldn't really count that. Yeah, it would be interesting as like a first video. I might not do that. I mean, there's something else coming up that I think I might try making videos for, maybe. That could be interesting. But yeah, I think if I were to make a video playing through Evergrowth, I'd probably want it to encompass like the whole map rather than be in parts. I guess it depends on how long the map like really is, or you know how big. Because maybe it does call for multiple videos, but I feel like one video makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know. Snapshot day is coming up. I don't know if I would really have many expectations at this point. Oh, there is actually one pretty neat thing that they're changing. They've had sulfur caves designed where like they kind of they're forced into a sort of plains biome generation when generating above ground, because I don't know if they necessarily need to function this way, but the way that they generate is they can, in some rare instances, generate on the surface. So yeah, in those instances, their features were basically just like deleted. But they've decided instead to embrace it, and it's not like a full-on surface biome or anything, although honestly it could be. But yeah, in very rare instances, when sulfur caves do reach up to the surface, they will just appear as regular, like they will properly generate as sulfur caves. In the next snapshot. So that's cool. I think that's very cool that they're leaning into that. Wouldn't mind if they turned up the frequency a little bit or something. Now, honestly, if they were gonna make like a proper surface, like Sulphur Springs surface biome, I would want it to be more like an extension of the sulfur springs that indicate the sulfur caves below. Yeah, maybe like having the toughened granite mixed in. I mean, maybe that doesn't need to be a thing, but specifically not having the sulfur spikes, I know that adds a lot of interest to the biome, but in terms of a surface biome, it just doesn't make sense. The Speleothem, like realistically, Speleothem are formed starting with a stalactite, which is the one on the ceiling. You know, water like seeps through and it carries minerals with it, and then they kind of gather in like these spikes on the ceiling that grow larger and larger. The water will fall down from the point and then do the same thing on the ground and build up the spikes on the ground larger and larger, and then eventually they meet in the middle, creating columns. It does not start with the spike on the ground. So when you're on the surface, there's no ceiling spikes to form the floor spikes. So it doesn't make sense that they would be there, even if it looks kind of cool. And you know, it doesn't need to make sense. Like, I'm not gonna make a big deal about that generation for the sulfur cave generating on the surface, or even if they wanted to do something like more fantastical with a surface biome like that. But you know, if there was like a sulfur spring surface biome, yeah, the sulfur spikes wouldn't really make sense there. They could do it just for fun, but it wouldn't really make sense. Aside from that, good chance that we'll see the small sulfur cube get remodeled on Java. That happened in last week's Bedrock preview. So I would expect that I would expect Java to follow suit. And hopefully that'll also come with Slime and Magma Cube remodels. Not a huge deal if it doesn't. I think you really don't want, like, mobs being downscaled really messes with the game's style. Mobs being upscaled is not as big of a deal because, you know, you could imagine that's just like how do you say? It's like the same pixel density, it's just you're not taking advantage of the resolution that you have, if that makes sense. Oh, is my internet struggling? I'm just... No? Maybe it was. OBS was showing something with like low connection, but now it's fine. But yeah, I mean, let's say you have like a 4x4 pixel grid. So 4 pixels across, 4 pixels down. But then instead of taking advantage of that and using you know, like different, having textures, I guess, having like different textures in each of the corners, each of the 2x2 corners. It's just each 2x2 area is just one solid color. So it looks like it's only a 2x2 pixel grid. That's like basically what's happening with upscaling mobs. So it's technically not in the game style, but it's not like wrong per se. But yeah, regardless, well, it would be nice if they remodel the slimes in Magma Cubes. And I feel like that's something that will probably happen someday. Maybe not in this drop. Hopefully in this drop. But someday. And then we've got Minecraft Live at the end of the month. That's very interesting. People are speculating they might announce the first like major drop. I have not yet subscribed to the idea, but it could happen. That would be cool. I just, you know, I hope people aren't getting the whole community all hyped up over something that doesn't happen. I do believe there is a major drop being worked on behind the scenes. I just don't know if it's going to be announced yet. But I thought it was going to be announced for this summer drop. That was kind of my prediction. Seems they need a bit more time than that. So yeah, I was thinking like winter drop was still a possibility. Next summer drop would probably be more likely. And then that is kind of what is being theorized, is that they're going to announce a drop that they're going to be working on more actively, maybe, over the next like 6 months to a year. And so probably releases like the winter drop this year or the summer drop next year, I think would be the idea. And that could happen. You know, there's definitely constraints with the current drop schedule. It's very difficult for them to like get feedback on things and act on that feedback while they're working on a bunch of other stuff. They do not have a lot of time for feedback. And so doing like, I don't know, potentially another update scale, another update size drop within that time period, it might not work very well. You know, they might need to give themselves some, at least like an extra 3 months. I mean, that's like, I think that's about how long regular updates had in snapshots. You know, we didn't know about the next update a whole year in advance. It was like, update would come out in summer, and then there was about like I don't know, 3 to 4 months probably, with just like not having any information. Might be closer to 6 months. But yeah, and then the Minecraft Live would happen around fall. And then the update would go into testing a little while after that. And yeah, so it was probably like, I don't think it's 9 months in testing. Yeah, it's about like, it was about like 6+ months in snapshots, probably. Something like that. So yeah, that might be what they need to do for any major drops as well, is give it that bit of extra testing time. I don't know if that will mean no drops in between. I don't think it would. I think we would still get drops. I think we would still be getting 4 drops a year. Because looking at Tricky Trials, I do personally view that as at least like a semi-drop. I kind of view it as like the actual like first major drop. Because I think just in general, like the way that it focuses so hard in a singular like pinpoint area is very drop-like. You know, even something like the Nether update, that was a very isolated theme, but it covered a very broad area. You know, it covered a whole dimension of the game. So yeah, while they were developing Tricky Trials, I think Bats and Pots, technically the first drop, had already come out. I think that came out before they started before Tricky Trials went into snapshots. And then they released, you know, about 3 months later. So Bats and Pots came out in the fall. And then about 3 months later in the winter. Yeah, I think Bats and Pots came out in the winter. And then about 3 months later in the spring, Armored Paws came out with the wolf variants and the armadillos. And until that point, it was assumed that armadillos and all of that was part of Tricky Trials. But then it wasn't. It was its own thing, which felt really strange to me at the time. That like, why would you not just wait and have a bigger update? But of course we didn't know about the drop system yet. So that was 2 drops, like within the drop schedule that we know now. And then about 3 months later, we got Tricky Trials. And so yeah, Tricky Trials was developed with a regular update schedule over, 6+ months or so. And they released at least 1 drop during that time. So that might be how they plan to do major drop releases. They haven't used the experimental features for upcoming drops in Java Edition since Tricky Trials. But that's still a thing. They can still do that. I haven't seen anyone else like really latch onto that idea with Tricky Trials being a drop. But I don't know. I think there's merit to it. I understand that Mojang themselves does not call Tricky Trials a drop. I would consider that as like possibly a way of setting expectations. I know at least one person is acting like this major drop is gonna be a super-sized update that's like the size of 3 updates or something, which I don't believe that. I think that's maybe the least believable thing that I've heard from them. In part because Mojang themselves have tried to, have tried to set expectations to not be too high in that regard. But yeah, you know, if Tricky Trials was advertised as a drop, and then we're expected to get a major drop that's been worked on behind the scenes for multiple years, I can definitely see how people would expect it to be a lot bigger than Tricky Trials, but then it might end up being about that same size. I don't know if that's true, that it would be, but it's a possibility. So, you know, it's like, I don't know. You know, I think it's not, I don't think it would be unreasonable for Tricky Trials to be like internally considered a drop, but then they just don't want to outwardly say that it is because of, yeah, those kinds of expectations that it might set. But I don't know. Even if it's not a drop, or even if it's not internally considered a drop by Mojang, like, I just kind of think that it is. Whether or not they meant it to be, it just kind of fits in, I think. I mean, it literally, like, it filled the slot of the summer drop for that year. That is just the fact of the matter. Anyways, I've been rambling. What do you call that, rambling? I don't know. I had some kind of a point I was trying to make. Yeah, I think that will be all for today. I should be back on Monday, either for Hollow Knight or playing that Evergrowth map. And I shall see you later. Farewell.